Shelter by Andrea Cubis. Painted on the Lookout Trail at Earl Rowe Provincial Park on July 9th, 2019. So this is my first painting that I tried to record while I was out in nature, painting something that was right in front of me. This lookout trail did have some fun getting to this spot. You can't really see it yet from this spot that you're looking at, but to get there I had to hike up a moderate level trail, which doesn't sound bad, except I had to have that table, the easel, the chair I'm sitting on, plus all the paints and stuff. So I put all that in this wagon. I'm sure you guys have seen them. Those fold-up wagons, Costco sells them. They're lovely. I highly recommend them because I tell you, that wagon was durable. I bounced it around on that trail, something terrible, and we made it up somehow. I was exhausted by the time we got there and was so excited to sit down. So I started off by using gesso mixed with just a tinge of blue. As you can see, the sky was almost whitish, really. So it was more white than blue. And then I just started to try and block in sections. So as I was blocking in, one of the things I really wanted to focus on was brush stroke direction. So as you can see right now, I'm putting in all those grasses. Well, grasses grow up, so all those brush strokes I wanted to go straight up. I didn't want side to side because I wanted at this point to already be building up directionality. Down that path in the middle, I did use purple, which I know, odd choice, but I'm later going to be putting other colors on top, so that purple will actually look more like a shadow of the grass that is on that path. Far off into the distance, you'll see there were hills going along, and then closer you had the tops of the trees, and that's kind of what gave you the over the cliff look. Now, looking back at this, I realize I pretty much worked this backwards. I should have started with the back over the cliff stuff and then worked my way forwards, but this is just the undercoat. When I went to put the top coat on, that is the direction I went, and that way I got some nice layering going. If you ever get the chance to go to Earl Rowe, I do highly recommend doing this trail. I will warn you, it is a steep incline to walk up. They do say you can take a bike up. I have absolutely no idea how someone rides a bike up there. My guess is you walk the bike up, and for those who are a lot braver than I am and probably a lot more coordinated than I am, bike down. Because there were some steep spots where, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if me and the wagon were going to make it up. But by the time you get to the top here, as you can see, the view is just phenomenal, and you almost forget that you're still in southern Ontario. Down where I am, southern Ontario, Windsor area, is so flat. So to have this beautiful lookout over those rolling hills was such a nice shock to get to look at. As you'll see, I'm starting now to do that more top coat, and I'm working on those back hills, which were very blue. As the distance from where I was increased, the more blue the landscape got due to the atmosphere or something. The science types would be able to explain it way better than I ever could, I'm sure. But I believe it's something to do with particles in the atmosphere reflecting light and changing the color. What you need to remember as an artist is that on a day like today, when things are far away, they usually get a bluer color, and as they get closer, not only do they get bigger, but the green colors start to come through better. As I came forward, I started to texturize the brush strokes again. Instead of doing fluid, smooth movements like the mount or the hills of the background, now I start to make it a little bumpy to show some texture of trees. And I also started to vary my colors. I alternated between that bluish green and a more vibrant green. And that was just to create some shadows within the leaves as I got closer and as the viewer would get to see more details. In the far distance, there was also a definite spot that was farmland, and that's that brown spot that you're seeing there. I almost made the mistake of making it too big. Because even as you look at it, you know it's got to be a big farm, but when you're seeing it, take your paintbrush and kind of measure on your paintbrush. And that's what reminded me to not make it so big, because it is in the far distance and I just needed a hint of it for someone to know that there was a significant farm growing there. As I came closer to the cliff, you'll see I brightened the green a lot more to show more light. Part of that isn't so much that the sunlight was hitting the hill more than the distance, it's that I could see the sunlight because it was a hazy day, and that in the distance would have that haze in the way of the light, whereas what was close to me, there'd be less haze. So the next step after putting in all that beautiful background work was to focus on the tree, and the tree is the focus of this painting. That is where the name of the painting came from. After I had done that big long hike up that steep hill, I was a lot warm and was really happy to find some good shade under that tree. And originally I was actually going to set up my paint stand and everything under the tree and look over the horizon and paint that. But I was lacking a focus, and I realized that I needed to paint the very thing I was so excited to see when I got to the top of the hill. And I was excited to see a great tree with beautiful shade right out in the breeze, and I got to look over the field of grass. Field's the wrong word. Valley? No, we're up on top of the hill. It's not a valley, it's not a field. Section of grass. Wow, that sounds really boring. But it in that grass are all these beautiful flowers, and you could the birds were chirping away and they were flying around. It was a great place to sit, and I thought, you know what, that should be what I am trying to depict, is this beautiful place to be, and that is under that tree. So I went a little further up the path and I found a smaller tree that didn't provide quite as much shade. By the time I was done painting this, I was actually out of the shade because the shade had moved. But that tree I painted to show all that beautiful shade it was giving. Now what you'll see is I actually started, when I was painting the leaves on the tree, I actually used almost a black because I wanted to show some good depth to that tree. And then I came in with the regular green, and then I went to a lighter green, and then I did the yellow highlights on top to give those leaves who were being touched by the sun that extra bang. Using that same idea, I did the grasses coming towards me. Now, I'll be honest, the grasses I found very difficult because, as you can see behind the painting, the grasses were green at the bottom and had brown tops to them. And I'm not sure if I quite captured those brown tops, but I think I did capture the grass on some level. As you can see, the main idea was those quick strokes upwards to give the grass that movement, maybe that the wind was catching it every now and then. I mixed the green and cadmium yellow, so it was sap green and cadmium yellow together. They're both sitting on my fan brush as I did those strokes upwards, and that's kind of what gave the nice mixtures going on in there. Then I also started to create some side leaves. When I first finished the first round of grasses, I realized that I had all my grasses going straight up, and as much fun as it would be to think that grasses could just grow straight up, there was a breeze and they don't grow that way. They grow sideways, they bend in the breeze. Then to make the grasses down the pathway a little different, I scrubbed them in. This is the end painting, Shelter by Andrea Cubis. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you follow us for our next painting. Have a good day.